Right, I'm here with the 6 times world champion Mick Hill, and we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about patterns, my favourite subject. Mick, take it away. Well, first of all, solid break, good start, good split. What's your first thoughts?
Yeah, so my first thoughts are red balls.
Straight away?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can play the yellow here in off the red, but things can get messy. I like the reds, and I think what most of the top players do, or most of the ones that win a lot, you know, they look at the problem areas early, which is this red really effectively. Not that it's a problem, but it's the trickier of the 7 balls.
Yeah.
And we kind of feel like we take the big shot on first. You know, it's very, very rare that you see the real top players shy away from the big shot first, because effectively we deem that to be the 8 ball. So you put the tough shot first.
Does that mean that you're looking, I thought you'd be going this way for a start, but are you looking there?
Well, I mean, some of it can determine how you feel, you know, like kind of first frame or the layout of the balls, because sometimes you can sell out a little bit. So sometimes it's a case of, I have to be reds.
Yeah.
Once I'm on reds, I can then dictate the game whether I clear at that visit or at the next visit or in 10 visits time. Yeah. So that can determine sometimes a case of, do I really want to be on that set regardless? Yeah. If effectively, you know, both sets of balls are nice, then you'd see most players take the big shot on first.
Well, let's say it's 0-0. We're playing. What are you going to do? You're taking this one on first, and then what's your route? What's your plan?
Okay, so there's a couple of options. You can take the one here first, which, you know, probably would make you work a little bit easier going forward. Would you like to play that the first frame in a match? See, that's a very good question. It depends how you feel, you know, you're a little bit edgy, you're a little bit nervous, kind of who you're playing. You know, does the opponent have a factor in how you're feeling? Obviously, if you play another world-class great player, you're probably going to be a little bit more edgier, you're probably going to be a bit more kind of pumped up. If you're playing somebody that you relatively feel like, you know, you can make mistakes anyway, you just have to get down and play it, don't you? So, but for what's right and what's pure, you've 3 options, haven't you? You can play this one first. Yeah. Come back across, which effectively then means you are definitely on reds. So
and you're back on the hard ball.
And you're back on that ball again. You can play the one in the centre and come down and deal with this area, leave yourself in here later and flick and come here back to where you want to be. Yeah. Because effectively it could be your last 2 balls. There's definitely a debate for that. Yeah. So these 2 are my first 2 balls, or they're my last 2 balls. So bear that in mind. You can either play that one and come across. Yeah. Play this one, or you can play this one and come down.
What's your choice then?
Well, in an instance like this, to say that there's a 100% categoric correct answer would probably be a little bit unfair in this circumstance. And the reason for that is because certain players like to play certain shots. That's just how it is. It would be nice if you had every array of shot, because, you know, that would make you the most perfect player, wouldn't it? But you do tend to get players that like certain shots more than others. In this instance here, in the first frame of a match, I would probably be tempted to play this one and come across.
Well, let's see that then.
And then go through my work. But as I'm saying that, I'm also absolutely, desperately wanting to play the one down the rail. But we've only just walked in and we're only just doing what we're doing, aren't we? So,
well, yeah, let's go this way.
Okay, I'd like to play this, and I'd like to play it with a tracer side, just a touch of right, just to bring myself into the middle of this side rail. Yeah. And also as well, I get nothing for short. I get everything for too far, because if I should happen to overhit, I've got the one in the centre anyway. Yeah. Not ideal, but that's the kind of percentage mindset, certainly in the first frame, first shot of a match. Because you don't know how you're hitting the ball, you don't know what kind of touch and feel you've got. Okay,
well, let's see how you are feeling.
I'm feeling wonderful, Simon. Is that okay for you?
Pretty much where you wanted to be. You said back to where it was.
Actually,
back there.
I actually shot myself.
So now you've made your first shot. You know what your next shot is. How far through this route have you figured it out now?
Okay, so we've got to where we've wanted to be, haven't we? So you would play the one down the line here. Yeah. You'd play the one down the line, and you'd likely come out for the ball next to it. But there's not loads of angle. So what I don't want to do here is I don't want to kind of give it too much, trying to pinch it, come into here, miss the ball altogether.
Yeah.
What we've got to realise is when we play this game is that sometimes you have to make the ball. I know position, is key, and it's no good making the ball if you don't get position. But in this instance here, when you've got loads of options, don't overplay the situation. Don't play it like I have to be a certain place and then sacrifice the pot to get there.
The pot is everything.
Make the pot here.
Yeah.
Because there's so many options, there's so many things that you can do. So try and cue the ball nice.
Yeah.
And try and just ease the ball out. Okay, and now what you notice, you might think to yourself, oh, well, he is a little bit short, he'd like to be straighter. But that is so much better than trying to get across a little bit straighter and then hitting the ball into here and missing the ball, yellow step to the table and clear up.
Yeah.
Well, that's no good to nobody.
You made sure of it.
Yeah, made sure of the ball. So this is the ball here. Is it a difficult ball? No, of course not. But where does it fit into the pattern? Because I'm not an advocate of cannoning balls. I never like to cannon balls if I don't have to. However, in this situation, this ball isn't really our friend because it's blocking this line, first and foremost, and we can caress onto that yellow in a nice kind of cute type of way where we're not cannoning the ball.
Yep.
So don't mistake this for me cannoning the yellow ball. I'm just caressing the cue ball onto the yellow ball.
You're putting it in if you do that, you're putting it here, so you've got that one, you've got that one, you've got that one. Well, you'll see where you go from there.
Hitting into the ball creates 3 scenarios.
Yeah.
I hit into it full, everybody's happy, and you win the frame. I hit it and I catch the bottom side of the yellow, and I land here. Well, that's no good to nobody.
Yeah.
I get into it a little bit too much, albeit unlikely, and I catch this side of the yellow, and my cue ball's in the centre pocket. So I'm only using the yellow at enough speed where it doesn't matter what connection I get, I can't lose the cue ball.
So in this case, it's just reaching it.
It's just reaching it, yeah. And therefore, it doesn't matter how you hit it. I'd like to hit it in the centre because that's what I'm really trying to do.
Yeah.
However, it's not the end of the world, and it's not the end of the world if I catch the bottom side of it, or in fact, don't catch it at all.
Yeah. Because of the pace you're playing.
Because of the pace I'm playing it.
Okay, well, let's see if you can hit it as you want.
I personally would play this nice and low on the white, 6 o'clock. I'd just come up the back of the cue just a fraction, put my hand closer to the ball, just so I can feel the shot nicely.
Yep.
So, I'll play the shot for you. And there you have it. So, I got the gap. I didn't particularly want the gap, but as I said, because I played it at the nice pace that I played it at, I was never losing the white.
Yeah.
But with not catching the yellow, it does change the pattern fractionally. Now, what I've got here is I've got the ball that I'm on, which, yeah, I could make a case for that. But the angle that I'm on means I'm going across the reds to come back across again. That's not really the way I like to play. Yeah. I like to play on the lines. I like to stay the correct side of the balls. I don't like to go past the balls to come back again, if I can help it. Because you can not get into the ball enough and come here. Get into the ball too much, you start stucking yourself here, and it all starts getting a little bit messy.
So you're sort of ruling out that shot?
At this moment in time now, I'm ruling this ball out.
Okay.
I mean, there's half an argument for maybe trying to get the bite and cannon onto the 8, and then that would be okay. But if I don't get it, it gets a bit messy. It's an option. Having looked again, it is an option. I've of course got this option to come here and then drop into this area. That's not bad. I can drop into this area. I've got loads of options if I play that. The other shot that I've got is I've got the shot to the top left here and try and pop it back. Which if I get it correctly, i.e. if I could pick the ball up with my hand and put it here, that would be my ideal choice.
Yeah.
What I'm afraid of is not snookering myself, because obviously I'm not going to allow that to happen. So therefore, I could err more on the side of coming back to where I am again now, which
gives you the angle that you've already said you don't really want.
Gives me too much angle.
Yeah.
So I either want to back myself to get the ball here, which would be absolutely delightful, couldn't pick it up any better with my hand, or I've got to play this one here and come back out. Now again, this is an how do you feel type thing. If I'm really, really, really on my game here, I'm going to play this ball and back myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm out.
Sure.
If I play that shot, I'm out. And it's not the hardest shot in the world, but it's fiddly because of the line that you're on. If you play this shot here, you can play that to come into here, but then it all starts to get shot making. How you're hitting the ball, how you're striking it, and all these different things. So I'm going to back myself here.
Yep.
And I'm going to back myself just to pop it over. And I don't really want to be any worse than there. If I am any worse than there, it's not ideal.
And that is absolutely plumb perfect.
Yeah.
So in your mind now, you've won the frame.
In my mind now, it's like, just take a little bit of care of what you're doing. But to me, with that shot there, it was kind of, I played it like a centre ball. And how I play that shot is, I try to take the deceleration or too much acceleration out of the equation.
Yeah.
So if you play that at 6 o'clock and you get too much action on the white, you're going to get too much backspin and come here. So I don't want to play it like that. I'd rather play it higher up on the white. Just again, just come up the backswing a fraction, the back of the cue a fraction, and pop the ball.
Yeah.
So how I would describe this, anybody who plays golf, is you wouldn't use a driver to hit the ball 160 yards. You would use a 9-iron or an 8-iron. And the reason you would do that is because you can give it a full swing, a full hit, a full 100% committed strike.
So shortening up the backswing means that you're actually, or coming up the cue, shortening up the backswing means you're actually hitting it more of a hit.
Is effectively your 9-iron.
Because if you go back, you actually could hit it way.
Well, now I'm hitting a driver 160 yards, and I'm decelerating the driver because I'm going to over-hit it.
Yeah, makes
as bad as I am at golf.
Yeah.
So, you know, your driver's for hitting the ball 250, 300. If you then want to use your driver for hitting it 160, you're either going to chop up the driver, come down, which is exactly the same I've done with the cue, or you're going to obviously overhit it or decel.
Yeah.
So if you watch the top golfers, most of the top golfers, Sergio Garcia as an example, for any of you viewers at home who watch golf, he chokes right down the club.
Yeah.
So rather than using a 9-iron for 160 and come in here, he would use an 8-iron or a 7-iron and choke down. Easier shot to hit, and he can give it 100%.
Yeah.
And he's got the strength of the 7-iron instead of the 9-iron.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So now you've got 2 balls left here. Which way around are you playing for those? Because you can play for either from here.
Yeah, you've got a couple of options. So you could play here, effectively, but again, you're having to play a shot, aren't you? You're having to play a shot here, where you could overhit it, come here. You could sort of dab it and land straight. Not the end of the world, okay, but it's not really the correct shot. For me here, I would play the red ball on the rail next, as opposed to the high one.
Because that's where all your margin is.
That's where all the margin is. And obviously, you don't want to be straight.
Yeah.
So don't send the cue ball all the way to the rail. Just drop your cue ball in here. Having said that, you'd rather be kind of neat on it and tidy than be here. Because then it's a little fiddly kind of
so you're still being precise,
finicky.
but you know which side you want to be.
I mean, you could if you wanted to. You could send it all the way to the rail and back off again. There would be times where I'd play that shot, to be honest with you, depending on how I felt.
Yeah.
If I was under pressure, I may be tempted to play into the rail and back off, because then you definitely can't land on the rail because you've hit it.
And there's more feel in that as well. So you're hitting it a little bit firmer, you're using the cushion as well.
You can hit it a bit more sort of solidly, a bit kind of like, so maybe we could demonstrate both shots here. I don't know if that's something you might want to do.
Well, let's see you make the clearance first, and then we can go from there.
So this is the first option. You just drop the ball in. Okay, well that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
You know, you're a smidgen high, but you're absolutely fine. And how I would play this now is I wouldn't play this with a 6 o'clock backspin shot, because again, you can get hold of it too much, land up here. You know, I would play this with what I call a flick with side. So I would flick this, if you imagine the clock face, everybody can tell the time, of course, I would play this at 8 o'clock on the clock face with a very, very, very floppy grip, so I don't get any bite on the cue ball at all, and it's the side spin that does all the work. So nice floppy grip. When I mean floppy grip, just nice and loose in your hand.
Just below centre, left
8 o'clock.
Side. Yeah.
8 o'clock. Just flick it in, just to kind of beat the red ball, like that.
Yeah.
A little bit close to my work because it's a little bit fat, but we got away with it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, and of course then it's just play the natural line again and into here.
Perfect.
So a little bit close to my work, but I wanted to get away from the stun shot and play the flick with side, which took me a little bit close to the red. So obviously we're going to give ourselves that, I would assume. So if we go back to the 3 reds that was left, So effectively, we had the 3 reds that was left. Well, not a million miles away.
Not a million miles.
No, and we're pretty much like that. We're pretty much good. And I did leave myself fractionally high on this, which is why I wanted to play the flick with side, the 8 o'clock clock face, loose grip, let the side spin do the work as opposed to stunning the ball.
Yeah.
And I played it okay, so I just about got there. But I'd like to have been a little bit lower than what I was previously to take that out of the equation. So I don't want to be straight, but I don't want to have too much of an angle, which last time you could argue was a fraction.
Okay, so let's see it. So you're going to use the cushion this time?
So I'm liking this option as well, where you can kind of use the cushion and come back out, which then means that you're not kind of trying to roll it into the zone.
Yeah.
So,
and then you leave yourself much the same shot, but it's a different way of getting
it. It's much better because not so much that you're closer to your work, that doesn't really matter too much. But what it does mean is you can now control this without thinking that you're going to lose the ball. So in this instance now, I can play this with a tracer side like I've done before, but I can play it with a little bit of stun, with a little bit of backspin, and I'm never going to over-hit it anymore because I'm so close to my work. So the difference between being where we are now and where we are last time, believe it or not, this is probably a 10 times easier shot.
Yeah.
So I'll still play it the same because that's how I like to play this shot. I don't really like to play this with a backspin personally, but you can. But again, I play it with the soft hands, 8 o'clock on the cue ball, flick myself out. And again, it's nice because I'm not intending to be straight, of course. So where you're thinking, oh, he's a touch short, well, I don't want to be straight. I want to be where I am. So I use the natural angle again, the natural line, and onto the 8 ball.
Yeah, perfect.
So my game is pretty much all about trying to play onto the lines. If I can roll it onto the line, roll it onto the line. If you can use the clock face, which means you can keep the grip neutral, I would rather use the clock face. If I have to stun the ball, that would be the last of the options that I would ever choose because hitting the smaller white against the bigger balls, it's a very, very, very difficult shot to consistently keep stunning a ball and executing it with consistency because the grip and the cue speed will change all those facets. So natural angles, middle of the cue ball, nice loose neutral grip in the hand is definitely the key and the way to go if you want to improve your game.